Hey boys and girls, today we're going to start an author study on a new author, and her name is Helen Lester. So this is the first book of quite a few that we're going to read from her, and so Reagan's going to help us read Hooray for Wodney Wat. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. Poor Wodney Wat. His real name was Wodney Wat, but he couldn't pronounce his R's. To make matters worse, he was a rodent, a wodent. "What's your name, Wodney?" asked the other rodents. "Wodney Wat," whispered Wodney. "What's another funny name for bunny?" they asked him knowingly. "Wabbit," he mumbled. "And how does a train travel?" They winked at each other. "A twain twavels on twain twacks," Wodney replied miserably. Poor guy, they're making fun of him. All of this teasing, day in and day out, made Wodney the shyest rodent in his elementary school. His squeak could barely be heard in class. He gnawed his lunch alone. And while the other rodents scurried and scooted about at recess, Wodney hid himself inside of his jacket. Then one day, as the rodents were taking turns doing wheelies, a new rodent, a very large rodent, barged into the classroom and announced, "My name is Camilla Capybara. I'm bigger than any of you, I'm meaner than any of you, and I'm smarter than any of you." Then she added, "So there." Not very nice. No. With that, accidentally on purpose, she elbowed an ear, bumped two noses, stepped on three tails, and lay down on a desk. Her fur prickled in fear through the classroom. She was bigger than any of them, she looked meaner than any of them, and she was smarter than any of them. "What's 2 plus 2? asked Mrs. Fuzzleworth. "4, shouted Camilla Capybara without even bothering to raise her paw. "And furthermore, 4 plus 4 is 8, and 8 plus 8 is 16, and 243 plus 125 is 368. Later, when Mrs. Fuzzleworth asked what's the capital of, Camilla interrupted, "New York, Albany, population 295,594. And during science, in answer to the question, what part of the plant is grown below the ground, Camilla Capybara danced on her desk and sang, "Root, root, rooty toot toot." Yep, thought all the other rodents, she's smarter than we are too. They felt very uncomfortable. Every afternoon, just before the final recess, Mrs. Fuzzleworth drew a name from her hat to see who would be the leader for their favorite game, Simon Says. Would it be Hairy Hamster, Many Feet Mouse, Grizzle Frizz Guinea Pig? Could it be big, mean, smart Camilla Capybara? Miss Fuzzleworth's paw reached in and pulled out the name of Wodney Wat. The bell rang and there was a wild scurry to the door, and Camilla Capybara was the first on the playground, having trampled all the others in her path. She ran over them. To Wodney, she looked especially scary. What would she do when she heard him speak? Breathe capybara breath in his face, or tie him to his own tail, or even pounce on him? The tiny, trembling leader of the game stood before the eager players, his head, well, inside of his jacket, and squeaked, "Wodney says weed the sign," while the other rodents read, "P.S. 142 Elementary School for Rodents." Camilla began pulling up weeds around the sign and wildly flinging them hither and yon until she could clear up her dirt in her teeth. The other rodents began to smile. Wodney says, "Wrap your paws around your head." He peeked a little peek out of his jacket and saw whap, whap, whappity, slappity, whap. Camilla was whapping her paws around her head so hard that she became dizzy, giving herself a headache. and had to sit down. The other rodents couldn't help giggle. Wodney says, "Play wing around the wosy." Camilla put out her arms like wings and she made airplane noises. But where was the wosy? What was a wosy? By now, Wodney's voice was stronger and his head was entirely out of his jacket. "Wake the leaves." Nobody moved. Wodney says, "Wake the leaves." While Harry, Minifeet, and Grizzlefrizz and the others busied themselves raking, Camilla Capybara grabbed one leaf. "Wake up!" she yelled. She's trying to wake up the leaves. "Wake up, leaves." She snatched another. "Come on, you! Up, up, up!" And another. "Rise and shine!" And another. Boo! By now, all the other rodents were squealing with laughter, all but Camilla, who frowned. "Silly leaves, they won't wake up. And why was everyone laughing at her? Such bullies!" In a voice so strong that he had to hold his own ears, Wodney called, "Wodney says go west." The rodents collapsed in a happy heap for the rest. Go west. Camilla Capybara, feeling very smart that she could tell directions by the sun, said, "All right, I shall go west." And then she added, "So there, west she stomped, forever she was gone." Rodney just wanted them to rest, and she heard go west, so she left them. And from that day on, the pupils of PS 142 Elementary School for Rodents never teased Wodney again, and he was their hero. "Hooway for Wodney Wat," they cried. "Woot, woot, woody toot toot." And that's the end. So I'm going to read a couple more books by Helen Lester in the next coming days and weeks, and I hope you enjoy them. I love you guys.